Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video we're going to break down the best tips and tricks for visiting Universal Orlando in the winter months. And yes, that does include Christmas and all of the Christmas festivities that are going on at the parks at the end of November and in December, and also some of the best months to visit at the beginning of the year. So if you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando trip sometime between November through February, just be sure to stick around until the end of this video. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we're about to break down the best tips and tricks for visiting Universal Orlando in the winter. And if it does seem like you need more videos like this to get ready for your Universal Orlando vacation, just be sure to hit that subscribe button, as I have a lot more similar videos coming out in the coming weeks to get you as prepared as possible. But let's jump right in. So at the beginning of this video, just to jump right in, when I'm talking about winter, I'm really talking about November, December, January, February. I know that technically in my last video I did on the best tips and tricks for fall. Fall technically goes into December, but just to keep it easy, I guess to make it complicated, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about winter in my mind is November, December, January, February, specifically because when Christmas starts in the parks, it is at the end of November, and so that's why I'm just getting that out of the way early. But let's jump right in. So what is the best month to visit if you're still on the fence, if you're trying to figure out like, hey, based on crowd levels, what is the best month to go and visit Universal Orlando? Well, looking at the data, I would say January out of the winter months is by far the best month to go visit for very low crowds. Now, what I thought was interesting is that when you look at historical, like all time, January is up there. It's not the best month, but from a crowd level standpoint, it's third on the list. So it's actually September is always the best month, August, and then January has been the best month to visit the parks. But for 2023, it was still up there. But what I thought was interesting is that I do think the crowds are changing. And for 2023, it was actually September, then May, August, and then January. But long story short, January out of the four is by far the best month to visit. What I also thought was very interesting, this is essentially the order that the statistics say for Universal Orlando. It's January 1st, November 2nd, February 3rd, and December 4th. And I'm actually surprised by that, as February I feel like has always been some of the slower time. But I guess with winter break, it is slight, and I would say there's a nuance to it, right? For November, you definitely want to try to avoid weekends like Thanksgiving weekend, and also Veterans Day weekend is going to be in November as well. On the flip side, of course, in February we do have President's Day weekend, and then just in general there are some winter breaks in there, which I guess is driving the crowds. But that is kind of where we're starting now, jumping over to another really important thing. And one of the reasons why January can be such a great month, but then also February is so very popular, is because of the amazing weather in Florida. So you do have to be mindful of this for a couple different reasons. Well, first and foremost, if you are trying to visit the theme parks with really enjoyable weather as opposed to the summer when it can be extremely hot, these are going to be the perfect months for you. So in November, the average temperature during the day is 78 degrees. Low at night is average 59 degrees. December average during the day 75, at night 55. January during the day 72, at night 51. February during the day 75, at night 54. Now compare this to July, which is the average of 92 during the day and at night 75. You could see there's a huge difference there. And it does matter with the amount of walking that you'll do throughout the day and just tackling the theme parks in general. So keep that in mind. It is, in my opinion, the best time to visit based on weather. Now, of course, those are the averages. It can be a little bit hotter. It can be a little bit colder. So you do have to be mindful of that. I have seen the weather in Florida. It can dip into the 30s during certain nights. So make sure that you pack the correct clothing, because you want to make sure that you don't have to come down to Florida. And, of course, I love, to come down and buy all the cool sweatshirts and merchandise, stuff like that, but you might not want to do that. So from a budgeting standpoint, make sure that you're packing the right stuff. And what that means is make sure that you're bringing, a light jacket, sweatshirts, t-shirts to the parks. And what a lot of people do is it's called the layer method, right? Where it's always better to have layers that you could easily take off, like a sweatshirt and then a t-shirt underneath, as opposed to, just wearing one long sleeve t-shirt and hoping that that lasts or, is good throughout the day, right? So the layer method is definitely very, very important. And then, of course, same thing on the flip side, at night, you could easily just put your sweatshirt back on. Now, another important tip and trick for visiting in the winter then would be make sure that you remember that Universal Orlando has lockers. So if you want to bring your sweatshirts, but you don't really want to carry them throughout the day, well, you definitely can rent a locker at Universal Orlando. And of course, the smallest lockers are definitely going to be good for a couple of jackets, sweatshirts. Of course, if you bring in those larger bags and stuff like that, you can rent one of the larger lockers. The other tip and trick for this would be then if you're renting a locker, let's say in Universal Studios Florida, but you are going to go park to park over to Islands of Adventure, you do want to be mindful of that. Make sure you have that in your game plan because you'll have to be back at that park at night to pick your stuff up. And another cool tip and trick that I like to do as well is typically when we say, when we're trying to hit Universal Orlando and getting as much done as possible, especially for the 1 day or 2 days, we typically say like, hey, don't do a sit down meal, in the middle of the day just because it will eat up so much time. But in this case, if it is going to be colder throughout your trip and you do feel like you might want to take a break from the cold or just, kind of get inside and warm up a little bit, this could be the perfect, couple months where you do want to do a sit down meal, especially and take advantage of one of those great restaurants at City Walk, which we will be talking about in a little bit. But another important tip or trick to keep in mind is that some of the attractions actually will close during the cold weather. So some of them have a minimum operating temperature and will not open until it's warm enough. So of course, some of the rides that come to mind in the regular parks anyway are going to be those water rides, but there are some other ones that you do have to be mindful of. So we are starting with Islands of Adventure, and of course, we do have Popeye and Bluto's Bilge Rat Barges. We have Dudley Do-Light's Ripshore Falls, which have a minimum temperature of 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we have the Incredible Hulk Coaster, which has a minimum temperature of 50 degrees Fahrenheit as well. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is actually 40 degrees, and then the Jurassic World Velocicoaster is 35 degrees. Over to Universal Studios Florida, really the only one at this point in time is going to be Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which has a minimum temperature of 45 degrees to get that ride going. Another cool tip and trick tying into really the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, of course, which is so very, very popular, and you'll see it does have amazing Christmas decorations, which we will talk about in a bit. But don't forget to sip on the hot butterbeer. Butterbeer comes in 6 different types of variations, but of course during the colder months, the hot butterbeer is extremely popular, and it's it's just so very unique and really, really cool, especially if you're hitting the parks a little bit later when the sun's going down. All right, moving over to the water park, Volcano Bay. So it is, of course, important to keep in mind that during the fall and winter months, Volcano Bay is closed on select dates. Now, if you are trying to visit the park, it is open, like I said, on certain days, and it is important to keep in mind that the water at both Volcano Bay and at the official Universal Hotel pools is heated, so you can definitely still enjoy the poolside activities, especially if the temperature is in the high 70s, low 80s. It's still going to be very, very enjoyable, especially with the heated pools. Now, one of the other things that I really, really love about some of the Universal Orlando hotels is some of them do have fire pits, so you can definitely enjoy that late at night just to get that winter feel. And I would also say, well, back over to Volcano Bay from a from a schedule standpoint, just keep an eye on the official Universal Orlando website and also keep an eye on the official Universal Orlando app. What I have found is that sometimes they do release the park hours on the app, and you'll be able to at least see, if Volcano Bay is open or not, what the park hours might be for your trip, so you can really plan around it. Why I'm stating this is because right now it's the middle of August of 2024. The park hours are only released through October of 2024 of this year, but that's typical. So even if you're watching this video in the future, typically Universal Orlando does not release the next 6 months. It's typically 60 days or a little bit more in this situation. So you do have to just be mindful of that and plan to come back and look, so you could figure out okay, which days is Volcano Bay open, and then you can plan your other park days around that. Another one of the other tips and tricks that I've mentioned this a couple times in my videos is sometimes during the slower times of year, specifically in this situation, it would be some days in November, January, because it's typically slower, and then some days in February, the parks might close a little bit earlier. And what I mean by that is the Universal Studios Florida might close around 6 or 7 o'clock. Islands of Adventure might close around 7 or 8 o'clock, but for theme park hours, that is early. But again, though, what you could do is you could potentially hit the parks until 6 o'clock at night, then plan a really, really nice sit-down meal over in Universal City Walk. That's something that I love to do, and you're kind of just managing your time better that way, instead of doing a sit-down meal in the middle of the day, knowing that you only have until 6 o'clock, when the park closes. And then for Universal City Walk, last but not least, don't forget that there is a movie theater at City Walk, a ton of restaurants, and the brand new escape room game that you can go and take advantage of. So there is plenty of stuff to do during the colder times of year when you might not want to be in the theme parks all day long. But now jumping back over to the theme parks, and of course something that's so very, very popular about visiting in the winter, but specifically the end of November until the end of December, and that of course is going to be Christmas in the park. So there's so much to see and do at Universal Orlando during Christmas time, and this year specifically it is November 22nd through December 31st. Now, of course, I'm recording this video in 2024. Those dates might change in the future. Last year, 2023, it actually was earlier. I believe Christmas started around November 13th. I remember that because November 13th is my birthday. So it's just a date that kind of stuck in my mind. It might have been the 13th or, maybe even up to the 17th, but it's typically around my birthday. It is a little bit later this year. I don't know why that is, but you do have to just be mindful of that. But on the flip side, it does start at the end of November, which is really, really cool. But guests can enjoy Universal's Holiday Parade featuring Macy's. And this also has some of our favorite characters from the movies, including Despicable Me, Shrek, Madagascar, and even Santa Claus at the end for the kids. But there's also a lot going on over at Islands of Adventure. So let me run down essentially everything going on in the parks, and I will have a full-blown best tips and tricks for Christmas at Universal Orlando. So like I said, if you have not already done so, just be sure to subscribe to our channel. But over to Islands of Adventure during Christmas time, guests can enjoy Grinchmas, which is over in Seuss Landing, and it completely transforms into Whoville, filled with warm, fuzzy feelings and a side of sarcasm. The one main popular thing here is the Grinch character meet and greet, but there's also the Grinch and Friends character breakfast. This is a specially themed ticket buffet at Circus McGurkus Cafe Stupendous, and this is by far one of the most popular dining experiences in all of Universal Orlando. You can meet the Grinch and all of our favorite Whoville characters, and you also get a photo photo keepsake to take home, which I do think is really, really cool. That's included in the price. Also, we do have the Hula Day Spectacular. This is the Grinchmas show at Universal. It is a live retelling of the classic tale, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And then also, don't forget over in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in both lands, but this one is specifically Hogsmeade Village. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you definitely would want to go and check this out. This one's already kind of themed towards Christmas all year round, but they do have a bunch of Christmas decorations. And then we also have Hogwarts Magic of Christmas, which has been a Christmas show in years past. This has not officially been announced for 2024. However, just keep that in mind. You might be able to take advantage of a special Christmas show on Hogwarts Castle. And then, of course, the Hogwarts Frog Choir performs a mix of traditional holiday songs and original wizard carols for all muggles and wizards alike. Now, over to Universal Studios Florida during Christmas, like I said, we do have that really, really popular Universal's Holiday Parade featuring Macy's. And the really, really cool thing about this parade is they do bring some of the floats from the official Thanksgiving Day parade down here to Universal Orlando, and it is accompanied by stunning floats and balloons direct from New York City's Macy's Parade, like I said. Kicking off each evening at dusk, this parade weaves its way through Hollywood area of the park, and then it is about a 20-minute long spectacle. Over to Diagon Alley, of course, this is the other section of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. It is fully decked out in holiday cheer and trimmings, and guests can catch their favorite singers such as Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees, and you can listen to them belt out some of our favorite Christmas tunes. Over to the Universal Holiday Treat Hunt. This is a festive holiday scavenger hunt that happens in both parks as well as Universal City Walk. Guests can purchase a scavenger map at almost any retail location for $10 and redeem the map for holiday tree hunt themed ornaments throughout the parks. There's also Christmas concerts kind of like scattered throughout this theme park where guests can take advantage of the Blues Brothers holiday show or Marilyn Monroe and the Diamond Bellas. And another really, really popular one, I'm not officially announced for 2024. However, in years past, Universal has had a holiday tribute store where the Universal team goes above and beyond and creates a bunch of merchandise like no other before. Over to Universal Studios City Walk though, because it is not left out. It is really, really well done and decorated with festive garland to twinkling Christmas lights, just everything you would think from a holiday standpoint they do have going on in Universal City Walk. Also for a limited time, they do have some limited Christmas menus, and specifically over at Voodoo Donuts. And they do have some also limited Christmas themed milkshakes over at the Chocolate Emporium. And then, of course, like we said, this is included in the Universal Holiday Tree Hunt. But that is it, everyone. That's essentially everything you need to know about visiting Universal Orlando during the winter months. I really, really hope that you found this video helpful. And as a thank you for sticking around all the way till the end of this video, I do have a special promo code you can go use on our website, theparkprodigy.com, to save an extra $25 off your next theme park tickets or vacation package. And that promo code is going to be YouTube25. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.